Talking about those decisions, mention some of headlines Nibia by after central bank governor. Dr. Addison de in Semi Tuja say Osha for example Ora Nana Otue Champong, our banking consultant, or say BoG losses, it was just a technical loss, not a real one.
Of course.
But Utie Professor Bokping or say BoG losses, we need independent body to investigate, make recommendations, and no air Professor Bokping. So Uche headlines Libya Banopea. BoG clarifies actions to save economy. Discloses 10 billion cedis investment in COVID-19 bonds. We enu echia Benefs in Daily Dispatch. Also, we bought 10 billion worth of COVID-19 bonds to support the economy. Daily Guide, dear, we saved economy from collapse. BoG. Daily Post, minority to stage demonstration against BoG governor on September 5. The minority leader Foni Atoforsen Abaham, Samuel Okujeto Blackout MP North Tong or say, tell Ghanaians the actual cost of your insensitive new head office at Blackout to BoG governor. And no Ewaha. Now, share the Ghanaian publisher say BoG debts were accumulated losses since 1992, according to the governor. I think also some various ideas. I've been chair. Which one say?
It has a lady kind. Many Professor Bob Kinyajin.
When Professor Bob Kinyajin.
Try.
Meet here.
You see, Chairman said, and I agree with the earlier. These are technical losses. They are you cut technical losses are. And yet, Sabi Obi acquire some bad investment and a kaba. There was a situation, and I'll come to that. There was a situation, Ghana, they had a judgment call to make. Say, Yentina Senegas, oh, this is an autonomous body. Yen Yahoshi, na Ghana economy no engu na nyina yembre. And now we can make an intervention, save the situation. But of course, bearing in mind, say, we are likely going to incur some losses. And the Bank of Ghana Act now, Section 3 is very clear. Who kind of objects of the central bank now? One of the cardinal objects in say, they are to contribute to economic development.
Okay.
The chairman, Obia Enim, say, our buying and our money was facing liquidity crisis. Nobody can run away from that.
Ne sika semunkoi.
Ne nkoyi, ne niska. Na enam sukranti na eka say beko IMF no. Because once we had such situation no, we were also blocked from accessing capital from the international capital market. Until our liquidity crisis even got worse. Now, how do you run an economy without money? Until now, yes, see, the only way to me yes, can say we have to go for some policy reform, which would then be the basis for injection and an inflows of capital into our economy. Until I can say you call IMF to access a program on the basis of which I ebenyiska. Now, program you there are conditions precedent. What mean sorry in case you call IMF for ajatum say the mom. There are some basic, and our minimum requirements that is a ultimate answer. One of it was your debt threshold, your debt to GDP threshold should be 55%, like in terms of projection by 2028. I said to me drew 55%, but at the time, now your debt to GDP ratio ending over 80%. Okay. And now I can say what me BB I bet say the trend is lowered and you are on track to meeting that threshold. And how do you do it? And the cover DDE pinin na buy. But upon punk ne you can say punky Joe ne haircut na Eddie man crop we. Then you still we didn't achieve it. Until what needed to be done was for the central bank to make an intervention.
Okay.
Near the kind no. And they had an option to say so, oh yeah. But I make the point crying say Omanya Anka they would have been acting not in breach but in betrayal of the very act that sets them up. Because acts
to facilitate economic
contribute or promote economic development. That's also the autonomous better now. Is the fiscal side that is having crisis in the now. Sri Lanka. Baby Omo Kodru and Anka Central Bank are intervening, Anka would have had that situation. Chairman himself, the cost of petrol shot up.
Yeah.
Even employee compensation was a problem. Medical liquidity crisis. Medical liquidity crisis put a trigger no crack say na abayin nisika.
Scan you.
Yes, can you? And this guy be triage for cry na be ni ho. Because of kana yedi no sika bia na ye nya no we were spending all that we're earning on debt servicing. And this kana kodru pempensu bi sika obenye bia wo kotua ka see we had them car. Until the Bank of Ghana said, look, we can make an intervention. But they were very minded also say, some intervention would result in some, losses. Until how did the intervention happen? I say this became necessary because of COVID-19. Until during COVID-19, incomes were, in fact, incomes for some employees were technically zero. Government earnings from tax revenue and related revenues, na emba the way aneseba. Until now, buying his car. So, as part of helping and a process of helping government in Ukraine, they decided say COVID-19 bonds now are buying air ton, to give a buying liquidity. So they bought 10 billion of that. What I say?
Yes.
That is one. Two, after 2020, we were on our way to recovery and then of our IMF programming in Abai. But not still there was liquidity crisis. Oman bemwa anka ntimi ntwe adwuma yo foka anka petrol buana e soro no anka man for ntimi nto. You can imagine the chaos. But they had enough buffers. So they said okay, our central bank has some buffers. Yes, our intervention now. Sri Lanka, their central bank did not have the buffers. Central bank you want. Anything that they couldn't help finance ministry to avert the chaos that resulted. Until they said, look,
same like Lebanon.
Exactly. So the Minister of Finance, and Chairman and you, and they say even with the decision to help, Oman sorry Anka said, this is what we are going to do. Minister of Finance wrote to them and said, look, baby, you read here. One of the requirements are here to meet the basic requirements for an IMF program. He said, debt ratio. So now, yes, Remo, you've bought some non-marketable bonds. Is it possible to take a 50% haircut on those bonds? It was a negotiation between the central bank and the Ministry of Finance and the IMF. And I'm okay. It is something we can do. Name Yeni board never discuss it. And that's why I keep saying that. And I agree with the point that these were technical losses. They were not real losses. And I'm okay, let's go to the board and say and discuss it with the board. The way as MRA would require. Which body is the highest decision making body in an organization? And yet the board.
The board.
They decided okay, we will take that decision. And they took the decision to take a 50% haircut. Chairman, that's a loss.
But how about the quantum? 60 billion. I say, I know shit.
When you hear it for the first time, Chairman, me say, me cry, me can watch him. But I'm saying, sir, if you take the breakdown, and if you are taking 50% haircut on your non-marketable bonds, Chairman, that's a significant amount you are losing.
Yeah.
1. 2. Sir, bonds now 10 billion already. Look at the COVID-19 bonds they bought 10 billion and minus 10 from 60 already about 50.
50.
Now, who fat 50% now? It's also a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
Now, there's also the point about currency depreciation. Any and so.
Sikana na hon seba from.
Exactly, Chairman Usha, and I always say this. Some of the transactions are central bank, they are dollar denominated. For example, their trading platforms are Omutu and Hukano, the Bloomberg, the Reuters, and the in dollars. Chairman, imagine a free fall of the CD from 6 to 15. Chairman, Enukwa is enough to give you a huge amount of money by way of losses. From 6 to 15. Now, Chairman, if they are spending on average $1 million on these platforms, I'm just speaking hypothetically. Chairman, imagine 1 million. You multiply that by about 10. That's 10 million already. What is here?
Yes.
And the Sikana Omushu depreciation also na can be. And Namika said these are technical losses. Obianti Minka said, the Bank of Ghana losses are marking. Sika say Moody investment been amfa and it was diverted into people's pockets. There be nobody has been able to say Sikana yes see the central bank has incurred no losses no. Bebrena were as a result of bad investments and now said there was diversion of the bank's resources. There's no such point.